Tantor Audio, a division of recorded books, presents The Heart of Tantric Sex, a unique guide to love and sexual fulfillment, by Diana Richardson, narrated by Hannah Martin. Publisher's note: this audiobook has bonus material. Please visit tantor.com and type The Heart of Tantric Sex into the search box. Follow the link to the books page, then click on PDF Extra 1. When prompted, enter the access code SPIRITUAL to access the bonus material. Introduction. The first time I made love, I recall being overwhelmed with disappointment, especially since I had waited for love and made it a special occasion. I asked myself, is this what all the fuss was about? Surely there must be more to it. Ever since that first sexual experience, even though I managed to develop what others might call a healthy sex life, I always had an underlying sense that there must be more to sex, especially since there was such a taboo around it. So many rules and regulations concerning sexual behavior. I always found sex to be enjoyable, but somehow I was never deeply touched. Neither was I as absorbed or as involved as I had imagined I would be. When I realized that I had made love repeatedly, but still had no real understanding of how sexual energy functioned, I decided to begin a sincere exploration into the mysterious matter of sex. What motivated me in my exploration and kept me going when I felt discouraged was that here and there in my life were scattered moments of love that were glaringly different from the rest. When they occurred, time seemed to stop, become elastic, and the air, the space around me, opened up to reveal a new dimension of sensual perception. It was as if I was suddenly truly alive, and an inner body intelligence took over. I hadn't a clue how and why this happened, but it gave me hope that there was something fundamental about sex that I still had to discover. Today I know I am not alone. In my extensive work with couples over the years, I have encountered many people facing the same disappointments and asking themselves the same questions. Just like I was, they feel trapped in a cycle which is repeated every time they make love, and rarely involves anything creative or new. Disinterest and boredom eventually creep in. Some will try sexy clothes and videos, while many others change partners often to keep sex interesting and exciting. Even so, this seldom satisfies in the long term. While a couple may continue to love each other, the sexual attraction often dies, and they stop expressing their love for each other in a physical way. Sooner or later, they might even find themselves deciding to separate. And yet, for us all, the search for this expression of love goes on, generated by a deep longing that seldom goes away. After researching intensively for many years, I discovered that it was the experience of Tantra, that of relaxing into the sex energy rather than putting pressure on it, which gave me what I had longed for intuitively throughout my life. It was like finding a series of keys, which opened door upon door. It was a process of uncovering age-old secrets about sexual energy that touched my spirit, bringing me to an unexpected inner peace. There was a completely new language to learn, which slowly became essential to an uplifting experience of sex and love. This language introduced me to a new and different world, where the sexual rut disappeared and creativity flourished. I found that many of my ideas about sex were hindering my journey, and that to acquire this new language, I first had to unlearn the old one. It took me many months to wade through the misunderstandings society had given me, to finally find a relaxed place away from the pressure of orgasm, which I had believed was what sex was all about. How to keep love fresh and new is the real challenge for lovers today. Indeed, how can we increase this love and make it grow? In its unique and intelligent approach to sex, Tantra offers answers that have the effect of enhancing intimacy and deepening love. Tantra, which removes many tensions from sex by suggesting we relax, surprisingly offers us increased joy and fulfillment. This is what so many of us long for in the deepest parts of ourselves, but we simply don't know how to create it in reality. I have a friend who was in a dilemma. In love with two women, he was utterly confused, in distress and agony over which one to choose. He went to a therapist who asked him, "Who do you enjoy making love with more?" "Kathy," he said. "Then go with Kathy," was her advice. When my friend first told me this story, I was in the doldrums of a long relationship where sex had lost its joy and spark, and I didn't understand his therapist's answer. Now I do. I have learned that whenever sex is fulfilling, the chances of love and a joyful life together are greater. Sexual rapport creates possibilities for intimacy and honesty, and a bonding, loving union. Conversely, where there is dissatisfaction in sex, the seeds of discontent are sown, resentments, frustrations, and fears easily arise, and slowly the love and rapport between partners can break down, ultimately leading to separation. Our collective lack of knowledge is so acute that it seems like a normal state of affairs for young people to be struggling in ignorance, trying to harness sexual energy, the natural force of life. We pay so dearly for unfortunate sexual experiences or uneducated guesses early on in life, carrying them as swirling, dim, unresolved memories that affect us day by day. Sex, love, and intimacy can become a nightmare ruled by insecurity and lack of trust. Tantra is an ancient art and an antidote, a re-education in sex, and an education that our parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents never had. Over time, experimenting with Tantra has shown me a new style of lovemaking that has made not only my sex life far more fulfilling, but also my experience of love, and thus life itself has become more significant. Before, I felt I was swimming in shallow waters, unsure of my role in this life, of what to do and how to be. Together, with my lover, as we embraced the tantric teachings, penetrating the deeper waters of sex and the heightened love that arose through it, my life took on a new vision, and I felt as if I was arriving home. Today I can see that the roots of true contentment lie not on the outside of me, but rather within me, and sex has become a vehicle for me to contact my core, my inner world, my silent self. It has given me much more depth and substance than my ambitions and achievements ever could. Tantra reminds us that true relaxation starts with sex. Unfortunately, in our society we have forgotten the art of relaxation in most areas of life, and sex in particular has become a source of anxiety and stress for many of us. We are conditioned with countless fears and tensions around sex, but once we begin to relax during the sexual act, we will find that many of our anxieties and unhappiness naturally subside. If we can relax into the sex energy, the inner comfort that it produces will radiate out, giving the rest of life that same quality of relaxation and loving ease. In exploring sex, we become more intimate with our own body and sexuality and that of our partner too. With this comes an acceptance of the simple truth with nothing hidden, that naked is sacred. And out of this arises a confidence based on self-understanding. Through the experience of Tantra, we find that what we have always hoped is true. Love and joy can be a tangible reality for each of us, not an impossible dream. Two primary sources made this dream possible for me. My years of experience and inspiration are based on two audio tapes entitled Making Love, produced by Barry Long. In these discourses, he offers revolutionary insight into men and women, and a completely different perspective on love and lovemaking. At first, in my ignorance, I was too proud to admit that I did not know, in truth, how to make love. I returned to these teachings some 5 years later, during which time I felt I had exhausted the routine of sex. But now my attitude had changed. I listened to the tapes in gratitude, knowing there was definitely something I did not yet know about love and sex. The depth and detail of information given by Barry Long changed the course of my life. Through ongoing experimentation within the specific guidelines, I was able to face and challenge my sexual conditioning. This essential groundwork gave me the experience of discovering a new genital connection. Furthermore, it enabled me to understand and absorb, in a bodily way, the words of my spiritual master, Osho. He includes a vision of spirituality through sex, woven together with interpretations of the ancient tantric scriptures, which were born in India thousands of years ago. These words remain a treasure to humanity today. Both these sources represent tantric teaching at its highest level. This book is an attempt to share practical information about sex that created a subtle and significant revolution in my life. It is by no means intended to be a comprehensive presentation of the origins or intricate esoteric aspects of Tantra. It is simply a personal experience. The material appears in 3 sections. The Roots looks at the divine potential of sex and love. The Love Keys offers practical body-orientated suggestions, and The Journey delves into crucial aspects of sex and sexuality. Sex is a vast subject, and even while attempting to streamline the information, the different themes naturally link and interweave. Reviewing the Love Keys again and again, in conjunction with your own experiences while using them, will bring you deeper insights into sex, support your exploration, and strengthen your perception. Part 1. The Roots. Inspiration. The male body and the female body are similar, but still different in many, many ways. And the difference is always complementary. Whatsoever is positive in the male body will be negative in the female body, and whatsoever is positive in the female body will be negative in the male body. That is why when they meet in deep orgasm, they become one organism. The positive meets the negative meets the positive, and both become one circle of electricity. Hence, so much attraction for sex, so much appeal. This appeal is not because man is a sinner or immoral. It is not because the modern world has become too licentious. It is not because of obscene films and literature. It is very deep-rooted, very cosmic. The attraction is because both male and female are half-circuits, and there is an inherent tendency in existence to transcend whatsoever is incomplete and to become complete. This is one of the ultimate laws, the tendency towards completion. Nature abhors incompleteness, any type of incompleteness. The male is incomplete, the female is incomplete, and they can have only one moment of completion, when their electrical circuits become one, when the two are dissolved. That is why the two most important words in all languages are love and prayer. In love, you become one with a single individual. In prayer, you become one with the whole cosmos. And love and prayer are similar as far as their inner workings are concerned. Osho, Heart of Tantra, Volume 2, Chapter 27. Chapter 1. Reframing Sex. Everyone is interested in sex. It is the one subject that continues to be of undying fascination, if not obsession, throughout the millennia. You can tell immediately when sex is the focus of a conversation. Heads move closely together, and there is a hushed intensity, a virtual thickening of the air. But when people are afraid to talk about sex, or ashamed of sex and its animal nature, there can be a palpable feeling of separation, a screen of isolation and tension surrounding them. The fact remains that whether sex is being discussed or ignored, repressed or expressed, enjoyed or endured, it is the single most significant aspect of our lives. Sex is always in the mind. It forms a central theme in our thoughts and daydreams. It is part of our chemistry, as each sentient creature on this planet was created in sex from the union of male and female cells. Our recognition of this begins early in childhood, when we naturally fondle our genitals with innocent, comforting delight, and our sexuality accompanies us throughout our lives in various stages of development and expression. It is the source of a great deal of pain and pleasure, of comfort and discomfort. It often determines our happiness and unhappiness, our ecstasies and our agonies. The simple act of painting our toenails or lips, and the splashing on of perfume or aftershave, are steps towards attracting sex. This is highly obvious today, when we are constantly saturated with sexual images, words, and films. The media use sex to advertise, to disgrace, to scandalize, and people use it to control, to entice, to abuse and abandon. Our obsession with fashion and appearance has a lot to do with sex. Being seen by someone as attractive gives us vitality and confidence, even if we don't find that person particularly attractive. When desire is shared, we see the possibility of love, and this fills us with joy. It is what each of us truly longs for, to love and to be loved. Nothing can take its place, and when we love someone, sex becomes an ongoing means of communication. Sex can also be the cause of miscommunication, of arguments, violence, confusion, discontent and restlessness. I've heard it said that men think about sex every 3 minutes, and women think about it every 6 to 7 minutes. Whatever the real statistics, the fact remains that we as human beings are in an ongoing relationship with sex, whether we like it or not. Sexual energy and the life force. There is simply no way of containing sexual energy. It is the life force itself. Even though in our minds we often try to separate sexual energy and other energy, the truth is that it is all one and the same thing. Energy is simply energy with an inherent capacity to move, and it moves whether the life force expresses itself through sex or survival, in art, athletics or music. And try as we might, we cannot repress or ignore this energy. We can only learn to channel it in the most intelligent and uplifting ways. As prevalent as sex is, it is a rare person who has discovered a way to derive full satisfaction or a loving heart from its practice. In inquiring into the phenomenon of orgasm, modern research reveals that an average sexually active person experiences orgasmic ecstasy for 20 seconds a week, 90 seconds a month, thus 18 minutes a year. And this is based on an orgasm lasting 10 seconds. Even 10 seconds can seem quite an achievement. So, in 50 years of sexual activity, we have the privilege of experiencing orgasmic ecstasy for about 15 hours in total. This is astonishing and distressing when you consider how many times you make love and how much additional time is spent dreaming about it and agonizing over it. Obviously, love and sex are not in a satisfactory state for most of us. Sex is not the orgasmic, innocent, spiritual force it is meant to be, transporting us into a world of love and true passion. It does not deeply fulfill us, giving us the strength to face each day with enthusiasm, nor does it have the power to take us beyond the pressures or limitations of our day-to-day life. Sexual problems between men and women are common, such as sexual abuse, frigidity, ambivalence, premature ejaculation, impotence, and sexual disinterest. Sex and intelligence. In order to reverse this and find the depth of sexual satisfaction we seek, we must begin to bring intelligence into our view of sex. We have to start looking at it within a new framework, to see it from a different perspective. We must look beyond reproduction or immediate physical pleasure and gratification. This new picture will give us fresh insights into sexual energy, how it best responds, and how to utilize sex as an ongoing creation of love between men and women. And the good news is that sex is an extremely healthy and empowering force, which we can enjoy and use to our great benefit. Sex, in its highest form, has an element of the divine in it. It brings you to here, to the divinity of the present moment where you feel gloriously at ease. Everything rests perfectly in place. It is an orgasmic biological ecstasy which arises out of the dynamic interplay of opposite forces, and which is food for the spirit. Sadly, many people of religion hold the opinion that sex is a distraction on the path to God. Avoid sex at all costs, some of us have been taught, even if you spend your nights dreaming restlessly about it and your days thinking obsessively about it. This is a great misunderstanding and an aching loss to humanity. If sex is limited to reproduction and instant gratification, and its subtle spiritual function is ignored, our life energy is dissipated, disturbing mind, body, and spirit. With Tantra, the cosmic balancing of male and female energies, yin and yang, positive and negative, dynamic and receptive, we can introduce love and spirit into our lives, within and without, and learn to live beyond the limitations of simple biology. We are offered the opportunity to return to our nature as men and women, and to find the spiritual language of love through the physical act of making love. It is a different picture of sex than the one we inherited. Tantra gives us new insights and a completely different vision of sex and its function. Phases of sexual energy. In human beings, sexual energy is understood to run in a circular path along internal channels through the body, with two distinct phases. The first phase and initial impetus of sexual energy begins in the brain before circling downward to the genitals. Please see Figure 1 in the bonus PDF of this audiobook. More specifically, the hypothalamic pituitary region and the pineal gland in the brain secrete hormones that control the endocrine system in the body, and these include the sex glands. These hormones maintain sexual well-being and promote the eventual readiness for sexual intercourse. This is the first and descending half of the circle, from the brain to the genitals. It is known as the biological or reproductive phase of sexual energy, and it is here that we invariably release the sexual energy created in sex through orgasm or ejaculation. The secret of Tantra, and its prime interest, is that sexual energy is encouraged to be retained in the body. It is not habitually released in orgasm or ejaculation. It remains within the body and is recirculated, and through this we fulfill our orgasmic potential. In this, the second half and ascending phase, sexual energy is given the opportunity to circulate back to its source in the brain, so as to revitalize and nourish the master glands, pineal and pituitary, in the body. These glands have a profound influence on health. Sexual activity is known to release many hormonal factors that positively affect body and attitude, and since ancient times, sex has been associated with longevity and spiritual illumination. When sexual energy can be reabsorbed, recycled, sex becomes a revitalizing, energizing force. This is known as the spiritual or generative phase of sex. Please see Figure 2 in the bonus PDF of this audiobook. And here, the genitals are viewed reverently as generative organs. Accessing this second phase of our sexual energy by allowing it to turn inward and upward is the revelation of Tantra. It shows us that sex can be directed to create more life, not simply another life. This spiritual phase of sexual energy arises as men and women learn to relax together during sex. This is contrary to the popular experience of sex as effort, as an activity involving tensions and pressures. We believe that the more we do in sex, the more will happen, and the greater the reward. We hardly think of taking it easy. What we don't realize is that genuine sexual ecstasy goes hand in hand with physical relaxation. The more we relax, the more we feel. In fact, ecstasy and tension are diametrically opposed. Tension creates heat and restlessness, while ecstasy arises from a coolness and an inner peace. Tension narrows and contracts, while relaxation opens and expands. Tension creates a peak, while relaxation creates a valley. Tension forces a release, while relaxation allows absorption. Relaxation is the whole ambience of Tantra. It means that when we relax down into our sexual energy, instead of building it up to a peak and then releasing it, the outcome will be more life energy and more love. In redirecting sexual energy through relaxation, we can turn it inward and upward, where it is automatically reabsorbed by the body and recirculated. Please see Figure 3 in the bonus PDF of this audiobook. Tantra refers to this step as placing a foot on the first step of the inner ladder of growth. In time, a neglected energy pathway forges its way open in the core of the body, and we experience this from the genitals upward as a streaming electromagnetic current, a glorious golden light phenomenon. When we encourage the spiritual phase of sex, instead of obstructing it as we do in our ignorance, love-making becomes a sacred experience, filled with wonder. Key points. Sexual energy is the life force itself running through us all. By balancing our male and female energies, we can enjoy a healthy, empowering sexual relationship. We can direct sexual energy in the usual way by orgasm, or we can redirect it to give us more energy, more love. Sex.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?